You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
And this is episode
256,
the Soul Forge Podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Soul Forge. That's Samantha, and I'm Sean.
Hi, guys.
We're recording this just right exactly after last week's episode, because we're going to do a few just to get out ahead. But anyway, that's not what's important. What's important this week, our topic is realizing our self-worth and why putting ourselves first is so hard.
Yep.
Because it is. It's very difficult.
Oh, my God.
So I know from my own personal experience, and I'm sure I've talked about it ad nauseum on previous episodes of the podcast, that's the Soul Forge Podcast, soulforgepodcast.com, that I have not always had the most self-esteem in the world, or felt that attractive, or that good of a person, or worthy of love, or what have you.
Oh, there's a million things.
So you can relate.
Oh, absolutely. As a female, body image, like, I'm not, by no means am I saying anything about, you know, any gender. Let's just put it that way. Any gender has, you know, body image issues and all of that stuff. I think every single person goes through that.
I think so.
They don't like something about themselves,
right.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and then coming to accept that that's just who you are is like one of the hardest things to do.
It might be the most difficult.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely. Looking at yourself in the mirror is
Yeah.
one of the hardest things you will ever do.
That's true.
Stand there, try it.
And look into your own eyes.
Yes, like just for 5 minutes. See if you can last 5 minutes.
I don't think you can.
In total silence, just staring into a mirror.
That's hard.
Yeah, don't say the Bloody Mary thing. Though.
No, that would be bad.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But like I think what you were getting at, all the media and the advertising are constantly pounding it into female heads that they're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. Nobody's going to like you. You're not tall enough or thin enough or whatever it is. Or you don't have this and you don't have that. So you better get this product to help you. And sure, the advertising is a little bit at the men too, but it's mostly women. And when you see those Dove commercials, they're always talking about women's self-esteem and, hey, you're okay, you know. So
but it's $1 billion business.
It is.
For a reason. Like
for
billions
sure.
and billions.
Just buy this face cream and you won't have wrinkles.
Absolutely.
Here's gray for men, so you don't have gray in your beard.
I just started using that stuff.
Oh,
Not
yeah?
the hair stuff,
Yeah.
but like the stuff for the bags under your eyes and the wrinkles and, you know, that kind of stuff. Like caring that that's even a thing.
But it's constant bombardment.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I've never been a woman, but it's always been that. Like, you know when you're a kid and you just remember certain commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Like the one that's always stuck in my head is the Oil of Olay commercial, and I used to repeat it because I saw it so many times, and I can still say it to this day, 30 years later. Don't I know you from somewhere? That's original. Emerson High, 1975, you were in my class. I was your teacher. Miss Fitzhenry? Bugsy Brown. Oil of Olay, twice a day, fine lines are visibly reduced, skin becomes soft and smooth. See? 30 years later.
That's just sad.
Do you remember that commercial?
No.
No? If I can find it on YouTube, I will add it
Oh, goody.
in here somewhere.
I'm super excited.
Hey, don't I know you from somewhere?
That's original.
Emerson High, 1975. You're in my class.
I was your teacher.
What's the secret of looking younger? Oil of Olay, twice a day. Fine lines are visibly reduced. Skin becomes soft and smooth.
Miss Fitzhenry?
Bugsy Brown.
Oil of Olay, twice a day.
Wow.
The secret of looking younger.
But that's like the 80s, and even back then, and probably before. You're not good enough. You better get your wrinkles under control. You better dye your hair, because if anybody sees gray, then they'll think you're 10 years older than you are.
Yes. But I don't think realizing your self-worth is all about your self-esteem.
No?
It's absolutely attached, but your self-esteem isn't all of what your self-worth is,
Like
right?
what you look like.
Yes. Yeah. Your self-esteem is part of it, absolutely.
Yes.
And your image, your self-image, your all of that kind of stuff, for sure. But a lot of it, too, is mentally how you are.
Who you are inside.
Are you a good person? Do you feel genuinely
right,
like a good human being?
like not just what your shell looks like.
Yes, not what you portray to other people.
Yeah.
Or how you portray yourself to other people.
Right.
That can also be part of, for lack of a better term, your self-esteem, your self-worth.
Oh, for
right?
sure, yeah.
How other people see you. You know, like if you weren't here tomorrow, what things would be said that were real?
What do they remember about you?
Yes.
Right. That guy was a jerk, or
Yeah.
that guy had a really nice couch, but he never let me sit on it. Or
That guy would give you the shirt off his back.
he'd always help my grandmother take her groceries up the stairs because they
Yeah.
lived in the same building.
That kind of stuff, right?
Now, mostly at a funeral, people are going to say all positive things.
That's what I'm saying.
But how many positive things do they have? Because not everybody. There's some pretty bad people out there.
There absolutely is, yep. And, you know, so little acts of kindness, I think, go a long way. You never know what someone else is experiencing.
Right.
So, you know, I believe people should be more mindful of that.
And you are always doing stuff for people.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like you specifically.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do a lot of that. I think, though, and I've told you this before, a lot of the time it's because it makes me happy.
Right.
When I get to see other people happy, it makes me happy.
Yeah, which makes sense.
So, and then I feel a little bit selfish about it because, yes, I'm doing something nice for someone else, but it's for my own self-worth.
But you're not doing it so that other people see you doing it and think you're awesome.
Oh, no.
Right, like
No.
you don't record it on social media and
God,
post
no.
it. Like there's this guy on TikTok who's always asking people for help, and when he finds one that does, he'll say, "Oh, actually, no, I just wanted to ask why you would help a stranger like this," and then he gives them like money.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Why can't I meet that guy?
I don't know where he is, but
Okay.
yeah, sometimes he gives out $100. I've seen him give out 1,000.
Wow.
Usually it's 500. You know, he'll say, "Oh, I just have to send a package, but I'm missing $1. Could you help me?" Like something like that. Like not usually a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like even this morning, I paid for the person's stuff behind me in line, and it's not like I wait.
At the drive-thru.
Yeah, for them to, you know, come up to me and thank me. That's not it. The reason I do it is because maybe they'll pay that forward, or maybe they were just having a bad day, and most of the time it's just when I get the feeling to do it. So sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's once a week. You know, I never know.
It's just when the spirit moves you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
So, you know, because, again, doing something little like that can change someone's whole day.
Oh, sure it can.
Just being polite to someone or smiling and saying, "Hi, how are you?"
Yeah, no, I get that. As our listeners will know, I lived in Timmins for years and years, and I'm a mailman. And the difference between here in Sault Ste. Marie and Timmins, when I was delivering the mail there, people weren't friendly. They didn't stop to say hello. But here, everybody's saying hello or nodding or waving.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the kids are different. Like they're so friendly. "Hi, Mr. Mailman," you know, and you wouldn't get that back in Timmins.
Oh, that's so cute.
So I don't know what the purpose of that story was, but
I'm not sure, but you decided to go there.
yeah.
So, okay.
So that's related to what we were just talking about. But you know, it's not related to what we were just talking about.
I know what it is.
What is
I'm
it?
so excited.
Yeah.
It is an advertisement for another podcast
Where?
on the ESO network.
Hey, you know how you don't have any friends? It's fine.
The Flopcast will be your friend.
Your weird podcast friend.
Join us on the Flopcast every week for a silly conversation about cartoons, music,
Comic books.
chickens,
And obscure 80s pop culture trivia that no one
literally no one.
could possibly care about.
Find us at flopcast.net.
And on the ESO network.
It'll be our little secret.
And we're back. That was a great promo.
I thought so.
Yeah. So if you want to get your self-worth up there, gang, then maybe listen to other podcasts to get a wider variety of...
Absolutely. The more you know.
Yeah, there you go. That's something we knew in the 80s.
Yeah.
The more you know.
With the star.
Yes, and the ching, or
Yes.
whatever sound it was. Yes, that's exactly it. And I remember back in the 80s watching the show, all the, I guess, PSAs. Between the commercial breaks would always be trying to tell you how good of a person you could be and you know, trying to better yourself. And I don't see that on TV now.
No.
No.
And all the shows were, you know, they were centered around kindness and friendship and teamwork.
We need Mr. Rogers again.
That kind of stuff, like all of that stuff was always centered. Even the fighting ones, there wasn't death or, you know, that kind of stuff. Like in He-Man and She-Ra and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, there was fighting.
Yeah, right.
Like, even in the Smurfs, when Gargamel would take the Smurf, but nobody ever really got hurt.
No, that's right.
Ever.
That's exactly right.
So...
And so that made you feel good about who you are as a kid, as
Yes.
a person. But also the little PSA advertisements in between the shows where they were trying to build you up and encouraging you to read or to not do drugs or
yeah.
whatever, make good decisions. Just like The More You Know with G.I. Joe.
Yep.
After every episode, there'd be a little PSA.
Yeah, and, you know, he was the great American hero, and that was all war stuff.
That's right.
And there still wasn't, you know, the stuff that there is today.
Exactly.
Like it just, oh my God, some of the death scenes in some of the cartoons are like,
from
what
now.
just happened?
Right.
Like, we didn't have something like The Simpsons.
No.
Or Family Guy.
No.
Like, holy crap.
Like crass and rude stuff.
Oh my.
No, everything was way more wholesome
Yes.
back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And even in the 70s with Fat Albert and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even though
The Little Rascals.
Bill Cosby might be a little bit...
oh.
but Fat Albert still holds up.
Yep.
You know, because he was trying to show that even if you're a big guy, you can be popular or whatever. You know, like it didn't matter what you look like.
No, absolutely.
If you're loving this podcast, you should tell a friend about it.
Spread the word about podcasts you think they would enjoy. There's something for everyone, from entertainment and lifestyle
To news and politics
and more. Share it on social media.
Believe it or not, some people don't know how great podcasts are, or even how to find and listen to them.
You can help change that with a click. Tell your friends about your favorite podcast.
Thanks for spreading the word.
So, anyways, yeah, for me, realizing my own self-worth it's the last 2 years, really. I've been working on it really hard, but...
What did you do?
It's, counseling a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of different counseling. A lot of reading books.
Okay.
And learning meditative tricks and, you know, actually doing some meditation and being grateful for what I have and getting sober. And, you know, like there's a whole bunch of things that come with it. And learning to just sit in silence with yourself.
That's not easy.
No.
That's why we're filling our lives with distractions so
Yes.
we don't have to think.
But that's the thing. In order for you to realize, at least for me, my self-worth, I had to actually pay attention to my thoughts and feelings.
Oh, for sure. Like if you're thinking a negative thought, realize that you are and change it, because thoughts affect your reality.
Absolutely, they do. They always affect your reality. Yes, so thoughts can absolutely affect your reality, and I believe that 100%, because if you're in a bad mood, then you bring everybody else around you down.
Yeah, you do.
At least that's been my experience.
No, it's true. You can actually see it.
I don't like it when people are not... I try very hard to make other people happy, because...
Yeah, you do. You're always doing that.
It keeps my happiness level up.
And that could be like what you were talking about earlier. Helping and making other people happy makes you happy. So it's kind of selfish because it helps with the
Yeah.
the mood stabilizing and
Yes.
just being upbeat all the time. Because if you're around people who are upbeat, you're going to be more upbeat.
Yes.
So it's a feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I get to realize, because part of my self-worth for me is being a good person. Don't get me wrong. There's times when I'm absolutely not, like...
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody, I'm sure, has those moments. But on the whole, I like to think that the people around me that I love and that I want to, that I care what their thoughts and opinions of me are, genuinely think that I'm good-hearted.
Right.
So, and that's absolutely important.
Of course.
But it's more important for me to realize that about myself.
Oh, yes, definitely. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but when I was younger, I hated who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely hated myself. Couldn't stand to look in the mirror. Couldn't stand to think my own thoughts. I don't even know why. Is it because I was the child of a divorce? Was it because I wasn't good in math? I don't know what it was, but I couldn't stand who I was. And somewhere in my late 20s, that went away. And I'm not even sure why.
Because you were starting to figure out, our brains aren't fully developed.
True.
Until we're in our mid-20s, right? For the most, that's a fact.
Right.
So, and we're constantly evolving and changing who we are.
And I always try to be the best person I can. And I know I've made a lot of mistakes. And I can feel bad about that. And that kind of lowers the self-worth as well. But for the most part, I try to do good, be a positive influence. Partly why I started the podcast, to make people realize they're not alone and stuff. But every once in a while, you screw up. You make a mistake. You do something petty, like the cheese in the dryer story from episode 39. You'll have to listen to that. But
okay.
Yeah. But I've done stupid things, bad things, petty things, revengeful things. But I've also helped people.
Right.
So I try to do the best that I can. And I'll say, hey, you're doing a good job to some random stranger sometime. I'll say, that you can see you've done that once or twice before. Something like that.
Yeah, nice things.
Yeah, just to...
it can make their day. You don't know the last time they've had...
praise.
Any praise at all. Maybe they never have.
And there's not enough of that in the world. There's definitely not.
Mm-mm.
So that's what I do, just randomly. Not to everybody. It's just when the spirit strikes.
Exactly.
So.
And that's the thing, right? But... yeah, well, good for you for the change in your 20s. Mine didn't happen until...
It might have been actually closer to my mid-30s, but I started working on it. And over the last 10 years, I guess I've started reading more self-help books. And I've always read, but
yeah,
more intentionally, positive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I find that to be very important.
I do, too.
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
For a while there, my whole shelf was just absolutely filled with... positivity stuff, or stuff, not necessarily that, but what's the one that I'd recommend? Oh, geez,
How to unfuck yourself?
No, there's that one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Let that shit go.
Let that shit go. Anything by Mark Manson, but it's the Viktor Frankl Holocaust book.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of what the name is right now, but hey Siri. What's the famous book by Viktor Frankl?
It didn't listen to you.
It didn't hear me. Hey Siri. What is that famous book by Viktor Frankl called?
Okay, I found this on the web for what is that famous book by Viktor Frankl called? Check it out.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, I read that last year. And let me tell you, it was fantastic. And it's all about how he maintained a positive attitude while in the concentration camps. He was a writer, and he had a whole manuscript that he smuggled in, and I guess it got wrecked over the 4 years that he was there. But he found that the people who died before they were killed, if they just gave up, they were always negative. And if you always had a positive attitude, even if you were going through the worst possible times in your life, you're the one that was going to survive.
Yes.
The lack of food, the lack of hygiene, the lack of heat, all that stuff. And there was more to the book than that, but Man's Search for Meaning, I highly recommend it to everybody.
Well, absolutely. And plus, when you read something like that, you realize how bad really is your life.
Yeah, you got to put things into perspective.
So, and that's another thing that is part of our self-worth in this society, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to have the stuff and the things.
We're
and,
spoiled.
Yes.
And that's why we always say, first world problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because, all those people in the third world, they can't even eat.
Exactly. They don't have running water. They don't,
all the things.
And here we are pissed off because our 2-day Amazon service is late by a day.
It took 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas they'd walk into our house and think it was some kind of museum mansion type
Paradise
thing.
type thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Flushing toilet, what the hell is that?
Exactly. That's right.
So, and that's part of our self-worth, but so many people lose sight of what's really important.
That's right, and they're always complaining. And they're, you know what, you just don't want to be around that negativity sometimes.
No,
and
it's horrible.
They want to burden you with their problems.
Yes, and it does. It really, physically, I get physically drained.
Yes.
When I'm around somebody that's negative all the time. Don't get me wrong, everybody has down days.
Of course.
And when you're friends with somebody, you talk to them and you go through that with them.
Right.
You try to help them out the best way that you can.
But some people don't want help.
No.
No matter how much advice you give them.
Oh, I know.
Or help or assistance or whatever.
Yep.
They just want to stay stuck because that's what they know and they can complain about it and they can always be the victim.
And, but plus it's a safe space.
Well, yeah. I know. I've been there.
Exactly. So, and I didn't want to play the victim because I didn't talk to anybody about the stuff that was going on with me when I was in situations where I knew my self-worth wasn't being optimized by any means.
Right.
But, it's, you just have to, I don't know. I never got there with certain things. And I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated myself for it. I hated,
For sure. I get it.
because I was always putting everyone and everything else in front of me.
So you didn't deserve good things for yourself.
No.
That's like when I was looking for a new car last year. I was like, well, I should buy a used vehicle instead of something brand new because I don't deserve to have good things because I was driving that old 9-year-old car that was falling apart. But I was comfortable in it and I knew what it was, but I didn't feel like I deserved to have something good and modern and new. And then I realized that was stupid thinking.
Yeah.
I pulled myself right out of it. I was like, why am I even having these thoughts?
Good.
And that's the hardest thing to do.
It really is.
Put the brakes on and turn it around.
Yep. When you get stuck in your own head.
Yeah.
That's it. When you are stuck in your own head, it's like a labyrinth in there.
Oh yeah.
To navigate your way out of that, you need to use all the tricks and all the stops and
whether it's meditation or self-help or just thinking or just taking a breath.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Giving yourself a minute to process.
Just monitor your own thoughts.
Like so many people don't process things anymore.
People
they
are
just
automatic.
react.
Yeah. It's automatic.
So when you actually take the time to think about something before you open your mouth, maybe then you wouldn't say some things that make you feel like your self-worth is being brought down.
So be a little bit more self-aware.
Yes. If we could all be more self-aware, in my opinion, then stuff would be better.
And we could monitor our thoughts as we're having them instead of just spewing out whatever, and that's how you get into trouble. By speaking before you think.
Yes.
And then that's how you hurt people.
Yes.
And then you feel bad, and it affects your self-worth, and it's theirs. And
and some things you can't take back.
Exactly. So you got to be careful.
Yes, some things when you say them, I'm sure it's happened to the majority, if not all of your listeners.
Oh, yeah.
When you say something that is just, it cuts you through your heart, that's a hard thing to get over.
It totally is.
Even after the I'm sorries.
Yeah, that's right. Because what did they say? The best apology is changed behavior?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And when you change your behavior, you internalize that, and if it's positive, you feel it.
Absolutely.
And you become a better person.
Yep.
So there you go.
I think that's the best way to do it. You're the only one who can make you better.
Exactly.
And that's just it. Other people, and I've done it. I've looked for my self-worth in everyone else. That's why I was so giving all of the time, of my things, of my everything.
Yeah.
Because then I can feel something, right? Like that's how I got my self-worth.
Right.
Instead of getting it from myself. So I was always getting hurt in the end.
Of course. And that affected your own self-esteem.
Oh,
and
God,
all
yeah.
the things.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So yeah. So what have we learned basically from this conversation?
That we need to put ourselves first.
Yes.
In order to achieve any kind of self-worth, which includes self-esteem, which includes, your mental health thoughts and, how you treat other people. And it affects so many things.
It certainly does. Well said.
So realize your self-worth. Well, you can, because some people never do, and it's sad.
And other people's opinions are not necessarily...
No.
What am I trying to say here? They're not...
they're like assholes. Everybody has one.
That's right. So don't worry about what other people think. Just be happy with who you are, kind of thing.
Yeah. If it's something that makes you happy, do it. Just as long as it's legal.
Well, that's
what I mean.
That's true. That's true. Yes, that's important. All right. So that was a good episode.
I agree.
Thanks for being a co-host again.
Anytime.
All right. So listeners, don't forget to check out the Etsy shop, Rusted Robot Toys. Check out TikTok at Soulforge Podcast. Leave a review in the iTunes store of your choice. Take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, I'm sorry I can't carry your shit right now.
I've got my own.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soulforge Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links. And don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soulforge Podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
It's yours?
No,
Your mother said she found it in your closet.
I don't know. One of the guys must
have what?
Look, Dad, it's not...
Where did you get it?
Dad,
Answer me. Who taught you how to do this stuff?
You, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.